The Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show.
Boss and the Sauce Show. Here we go.
What up, now? I'm over here trying to look up everybody and let everybody know we're on Friday night once again. It's the Boss and the Sauce. Y'all know what it is. Talk to him for a second for me, Big Ragu. I'm gonna send this out real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and do your thing, my man. So, I wouldn't call it technical difficulties, but we're just trying to get the show on the road here, right? So no big deal. So I want to welcome everybody in on a Friday night. My man DJ Big Boss on the West Coast. Your guy, Big Ragu, on the East Coast. We're here to talk college football, Big 12 version. So, obviously, we're going to do our breakdowns. Have we already covered the Big 10, right? We did the SEC on our first show. We're going to try to get all the Power Fives in and maybe a group of 5 in before the season kicks. So, we're going to do 2 of these a week before the season goes. And we're here to do another show tonight, Friday evening. We mixed it up. Last week was Saturday, then we hit it Wednesday. Now we're doing Friday. So you never know which way we're going to come at you. Just be prepared, though.
Yes, definitely be prepared. We don't really got much going left. This is, if you really narrow it down nowadays, hey, it's 3 main conferences: the SEC, the Big 10, and with the addition of Texas. With the addition of BYU and all that for this year, because Texas will be leaving the Big 12. We don't know the life of the Pac-12, and ACC been playing good ball. I can't take nothing away from them, but yeah. I don't know if they're ready to go big time yet and be a part of the top 3. But Clemson got a chance this year. I can't even think of it right now, but it's another one from the ACC that has a chance this year. Oh, Florida State. I'm sorry, Florida State and Clemson got a chance this year, so ACC could get back in it. So. I just confirmed today, Big Ragu, that I'm gonna be with. I'm gonna go ahead and do the Pac-12 with our guy Dave Rogers, since he's a USC alumni and know pretty much a lot about the Pac-12 and all that stuff. Then I'm gonna be looking for somebody from the Florida to team up with you and handle the ACC, since those teams are local to you. I don't know. It just kind of makes sense if we can put it together like that. But if not, week is 0 week, and we going live next Saturday, full picks and everything. So, I advise everybody to tap in next week. It's going to be epic, man. You know what I'm saying? It's Who-Bangin, you know what I'm saying? But, we live with an audience today, too. So, you know what I'm saying? We're hanging out right here with Huey Hot Slugs. So we got a lot going on, man. But this is the most rambling I did at the beginning of one of these shows. But we're going to roll through it like we did the Big 10. Keep everybody on track. We can have conversations about these shows. About these teams all day, but we got to kind of get through them. So bear with us as we put it together, man. So you ready to take off, Big Ragu?
Let's go. Let's go for that ride.
Let's go for the ride. Or let's catch a flight. Texas got to come first. Steve Sarkisian, 3rd year. He's doing a great job there. He's 9-4 at home. Struggles on the road. He's 13-12. But he got some key pieces going. And in his 3rd year, just as a seasoned coach should, he has 10 returning on offense, 6 returning on defense. And just because he's a classy guy and, he knows what he wants and he only wants the best, he only grabbed 5 transfers. What you think about the state of Steve Sarkisian right now, Big Ragu, in Texas, getting ready to go over to the SEC? What's going on in his mind? Where are we going with this?
Yeah, Steve. I think I'm not gonna say they were gearing up for the SEC, but I would say they're SEC ready per se, because he's a guy that's been on the West Coast. He's been with Saban in Alabama. So he's been in them high profile programs. I mean, this guy, he lives in the he lives in, the first class type seating, if you will. He's always in the front row, he's in the thick of things. So yeah, I mean, he's front and center right here in this program. And this year, especially this year, it's with his, they're going to be making the early exit, them and Oklahoma, to the SEC in 2024. So this will be his last year in the Big 12, and it's I'm going to say it's their championship to lose, conference championship to lose, because they're being held on the pedestal. They have the number one rankings across the board on all the categories for the Big 12 as far as offense, defense, the whole nine. They're loaded up, and I think Sarkisian is in a good spot. There's a lot of unknowns in this conference this year, which we'll touch on all those, but I would say it's his title to lose this year.
Absolutely, man. I agree 100%. Let's go into his offense. This year, he has Quentin Ewers at QB, pretty good quarterback. Last year they didn't do bad, 20th in points per game, 34 on the ground and 50 on the pass. I mean, they really banged it on the ground. Cedric Baxter is back for some more of that. So the offense, the 10 is coming back on there. So they look superior coming in this year. There's not much you can say, 10 back with the quarterback. Plus they have a tight end, Javon Sanders. He's a big, tough kid too. So they got it all lined up over there. They're trying to make a great impression going into the SEC. I think we may get the same thing out of the USC and the Pac-12. They want to win the title before they move on to the next conference. So yeah, they're looking great on offense. I don't have much else to say, other than they're great on offense. How about you, Big Ragu?
Yeah, I mean the key components obviously is going to be the development of Quinn Ewers. He started as a true freshman. And then he's kind of, going to carry the torch on the quarterback. And then we're going to look at Xavier Worthy as a first team I was going to say SEC. Listen to me, first team Big 12 wide receiver. And like you said, they're loaded. They got the offensive line. All 5 people are back on the O line, so that should be a big, strong, move for them carrying forward. So, like I said, and then they get some little help on defense too. And defensive lineman Byron Murphy. He's going to be a key component for the defensive line there. He's going to be a guy that's probably going to be playing on Sundays going forward. So they've got stars across the board here, and I expect them to perform up to the task here. Now, this team hasn't won over the last 14 years. They haven't won a Big 12 title. So what would be the icing on the cake for them to leave is carry a Big 12 title with them. So
that'd be great job security for Sarkisian to win the Big 12 on the way out of here. I mean, but the numbers didn't look bad last year on defense. He was 21 in points per game, 34. He established stopping the run, and 50 again on the pass. But the defense is, you could say, the Achilles heel of Texas. If the defense doesn't show up, that could damage things. But if we could get the defense to show up and advance a little more this year, maybe become a top 10 defense, then we could have something cooking with fire over here at Texas. And I like it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, as far as the season totals are at 9.5. Only trouble I do see is, once again, they put Bama back on the schedule. They have to go to Baylor. Of course, they got to play Oklahoma, and then also Iowa State, who could be a little tough. You see any flaws? What do you think about the season win total over 9.5?
Yeah, I say very doable for them here. I mean, if depending upon their defense, which I think they're a top 3 Big 12 defense, if you go back and look at numbers like points per game, that Kansas team is pretty dangerous, but they give up a lot of points too. So I mean, outside of everybody that's in the division, maybe K-State at home, to get over the hump there. Not a real prolific offense, but a pretty darn good defense there. Iowa State's always going to compete at Iowa State. And, of course, Alabama. So if they get tripped up one or two along the way outside of Bama, then they struggle. But if they get by, if they avenge Bama, which that's a game they should have won last year, then they smooth sailing for them. I think for that 9.5 over the total. But I like what I like about the Sarkisian in roles which we're not going to get a lot of home dog rolls this season probably, but 2-0. Road dogs 0-3. So remember that. So they're going to Alabama. So that's, you want to circle that on the calendar. And then out of conference, their money not 5-2. This is Sarkisian's number, by the way, not Texas. So as a head coach, road dogs 0-3, and out of conference 5-2.
Yeah, and just to show a little other side of the table, I think the Texas game's a little overhyped, even dragging it into this year. Last year has nothing to do with this year. Of course, however they felt about it, but they lost the game. I don't think that has a great impact on the game itself, the team itself, or anything. So I kind of scratched that one off. It is what it is. They lost their. It's even worse that you lost such a close game.
I mean, it's not a conference game, but it has. It could have playoff implications down the road if this team gets to the Big 12 championship and they're one of those bubble teams.
Oh, absolutely.
Convincingly, so they're going to have to win some convincing games. And
absolutely,
like I said,
I get it.
It's going to carry some weight going forward.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and keep it rolling, man. We 10 minutes in the show, and we're gonna keep this thing going. Let's take another flight. Oklahoma, man, what a boring state, but great football over there, though. But also awesome coach right here in Brent Venables. In case you guys don't know, this is the modern day. Did such a great job at Clemson. Clemson tipped scales as a offensive coordinator over there, defensive coordinator. I'm sorry,
yeah.
in his salary, and now he took over. Took over this team right here, and it's on him. And Oklahoma, defense is what they needed for years. So if they can keep maintaining what Lincoln Riley's put there and add Venables to it. Last year, he went 6-7, 3-6 in the conference, getting the feel for being a head coach, getting the feel for taking over somebody else's system, so forth and so on. This year, he digs a little deep into the transfer portal, probably trying to groom up some players of his own. He gets 7 back on offense, 6 back on defense. He's been protecting the house. He's 4-2 at home. Needs to get a little better prepared to play on the road. He's 2-3, 6-7. Brent Venables, what do you think about this coming to the second year? This guy, big high-paid guy, going over to a head coach from OC.
Yeah, I'm not going to call the first season a disappointment, but it was little. I thought I had a little higher aspirations, but first-year coaches, you never know. It's like playing spin the bottle. Just depending on the talent and what they try to do and what they accomplish. I mean, he had a nice offensively. I don't think he had any issues with Dylan Gabriel. He's probably one of the top-tier quarterbacks out there. He's a former UCF kid that transferred over to Oklahoma. So I think he got things lined up offensively. It's on the defensive side where this guy lives. That's his forte, which they struggled pretty bad with. So they're going to have to tighten some things out. They allowed 30 points per game and almost 5.7 yards per play. Seven opponents were able to score 35 points on them last year. So they're going to have to tighten some things up on the defensive side. And this is the other team that's making the move to the SEC. So I'm sure they want to kind of get things forward. I know they hit the portal really hard this year to try to kind of right the ship on the defensive side. They got players from Oklahoma State. They got a Texas State product, Devin Sears, a Wake Forest kid, and let's see, and they got a defensive lineman who's the first team. That's the only first team guy they got on the team. Ethan Downs, defensive line. So they went out and tried to get him some help. So they got one first team player on the whole squad on defense in the Big 12. So they definitely need to make the improvements. Offensively, I think they'll be fine with Gabriel. And they got to replace Eric Gray, who's a 16-yard receiver, 16-yard running back, and Marvin Mims, who's a 1,000-yard receiver. So I think they plug and play on the offensive side, and I think we'll see some underclassmen step up on the offense to kind of help the squad out. So I would worry about defense first this year. I think the offense is going to fall in place. Like I said, this is a division that you have maybe like 3 teams that allow like 20 points per game, and everybody else is like north of 28. So make some improvements on defense. The offense will take care of itself.
Yeah, only I like the skill positions on the offense, including the quarterback returning, but they did have to fix the lineup with a couple transfers in there. So I think the offense over here may emerge a little later in the season. It's going to take a little time for them to gel, especially when you talk about the O-line. A lot goes into that, playing like a chain lead fence as the offensive line. So, usually offensive line are connected. It's not a position where these guys eat lunch at a different table. Like these guys eat, sleep, and drink together. So it's going to take some time to get that for the offense to be going. Now, he did have 6 returners on defense, and he did look to the transfer portal to fill some other spots. He got big Jacob Lacey, defensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Great pickup right there. And last year, like you say, he lacked on defense. They've been lacking on defense a year. Points per game, they were 90. The rush was 104. The pass was 116. And that's what this guy makes the big bucks for, to come over and fix this. So second-year coaches, the second year of a team with a new coach, players begin to understand the terminologies, understand, the system, so forth and so on. So I expect definitely some type of advance over here on the defensive side. But it's been known that Venables does have a complicated system. He's known as a complicated coach. So take some kids with a little IQ to be able to catch on. But on the defensive side, that usually happens fast because linebackers and stuff like they eat, sleep, and drink football. You teach them the new way, and they go after it. So let's look into the season total on this team. 9.5 again right here. I'm not so sure about the 9.5. I mean, we're looking at a 6 and 7 team last year and jumping up to a 9.5. This is one of those situations where bet-wise, you want to take the under because an injury to the quarterback, a lot of the teams come out like this with a lot of transfers and stuff, and injuries can hold them back. Just blame it on injuries for year number 2. So I'm leaning under on this one. How about you, Big Red?
Believe it or not, looking at the schedule early on with a lot of these teams that they're playing, a couple of BYU coming in, and some teams that'll yield some points. I see a lot of over opportunities, betting on this team. But as far as wins go, I think it's going to be tough. I mean, Cincinnati's going to be way down this year. SMU is going to be a little bit down. Arkansas State. I see like the first 4 games. In reality, I can see, or maybe even the first 5, they can take them out. And then they hit Texas, then they hit UCF, Kansas. So 9.5 is it's going to be tough, But I mean, this team is expected to play in the SEC, right? So they're going to have to make some moves quickly, otherwise they're going to get behind the 8 ball real fast in the SEC, and then I fear for Venables' jobs long term, But it's going to take a little time, like you said, second-year coach putting things together. I would have to lean under here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get over because of the schedule and because of the newcomers in the conference. So that's the only saving grace that this team has on the win total.
Yeah, I'm gonna say an easy 5-0 for them, but the Texas game is gonna be the proof in the pudding. But also, most of those road games that they got right there are pretty light games, and that's going to help them a lot. They play Tulsa on the road, Cincinnati on the road, Kansas on the road, and Oklahoma State on the road. All those are winnable games on the road, and that helps out a lot. The coach already has a decent home record, so much love to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hey, just a quick note. He's a first-year coach, so he went 3-6 ATS in the conference and 3-1 non-conference ATS.
There we go. So let's take another trip, man. Let's keep this thing going. Chris Kleiman fifth year here at Kansas State. He's 10-4 last year, 7-2. Great year for him. He's 30-20 overall, 15-10 at home, 12-8, 8 on offense, 5 on defense, and only a nice classy 6 transfer. Looking good for Chris Kleiman, ain't it, Big Ragu?
Yeah, Kleiman. I mean, this is a guy that came from FCS and made an immediate impact because of the fact that Snyder, when he came back to K-State, this guy was like Snyder. I wouldn't call him Snyder light, but he kind of fit the mold of Snyder when he left, and he was able to take his talent and put it to use right away. And then he recruited well. He recruited, he's known for a defensive type of mind, and he runs a pretty good balance. And he had some good, decent quarterback play, running back play, special teams play. And when you play well, a well-rounded type of football like this guy coaches with the talent that he had, he was competitive every year. And guess what? They're the defending Big 12 champs.
Absolutely, man. They did their thing. Now this year he gets quarterback Will Howard returning after playing 9 games in 22. The skill positions are a little bit experienced, but they're gonna need some talent to step to the table. But the beautiful thing that I like most about this offense is that they have a 5 returning on the line. That always helps in any situation. They already been doing decent. Then you get more blocking. So I think the offense, they got it under control. But we'll have to see who really emerged as like some star talent to keep it going. Now, as far as the defense, let's go over to the defense. And like right here, we shows last year's offense did well. Points per game, 28, 17 on the run, and 80 on the pass. You can look at that a lot of ways. 17 on the rush. Maybe they didn't have to pass as much, considering their record. Passing at number 80 is great. So, not much to move on the offense. Now, the defensive side is once again one of those parts that is going to have to show the proof in the pudding. So they do return 3 linebackers from 22. The other units, just a few good players here and there. But the field came with the Juncos and the transfer players that he picked up. Also made some depth there on the defense. So the defense can swing it. If they can get any better, like if you look at the numbers right here, if they can, move up 10 spots in each category, they could be cooking with fire, Big Ragu.
Yeah, the defense is pretty good. One note on the offense, when you were showing the kids on the screen, Deuce Vaughn.
Go back to it for you.
Yeah, they get my guy Trayshawn Ward from FSU. He's a transfer, so he's going to pick up the pieces on the running back side. And they got a pretty good tight end, Ben Sinnott. He's a second. I think he's second team Big 12 tight end. So, like I said, well balanced defense. They've got some. Not I wouldn't say holes to fill, but they get a key transfer from his old stomping grounds, North Dakota State. DB Marquez Siegel supposed to be a really good player. So they got depth as good as it gets all the way around, and they get solid linebacker play from Austin Moore and Daniel Green. So this team will be ready to go again. Points per game, like you said, ranked 38th, rushing right in the middle of everything else, rush pass. So a well-balanced team all the way around. And I think, like I say, playing in that division with this type of team football that this coach brings to the table, and with the departure next year of Oklahoma and Texas, this team could run the roost for a little while in that division.
Well, let's take a look at the schedule and see how that looks, and see what their chances really look like going through here. Now, I got it down as the tough games for them is going to be at Missouri, at Oklahoma State, at Texas Tech, at Texas. They also got to play Baylor, and if Iowa State's any good, they'll play them in the last game. But over or under 7.5 on this one on a team with 10 wins from last year, defending champs. What do we do right here, Big Ragu?
You got to bet the over, man. That's a little disrespect in my book right there. Sorry to say. So you're saying they had a fluke season last year, and this guy's been nothing but money all the way around. 32-18 ATS as an away favorite, 4-1, as a home favorite, 10-6, as a home dog, 6-3, 10-4 last year. Give me the over without hesitation.
You heard it right here first, y'all. You heard it right here. The over. We're gonna keep a good eye on that one for Kansas State. because that just looks like a great future bet right there. And I like to keep track of that for the rest of the season. But let's keep this party rolling and go on to the next one. Here we go. Sonny Dykes. Who doesn't love them some Sonny Dykes? Great coach, moving over in his first year. He did the thing last year.
Unreal.
Second year right here. He was 13-2 last year, 9-0 in the conference. 30-20 is his record overall. 6-0 at home, 6-0 away. And he brings back 3 on offense, 7 on defense. Had to dig in that transfer portal for 13 to help out with that returning 3. What you got on Kansas State, Big Ragu?
Man, you mean TCU?
TCU, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. What this team did last year was unbelievable. That's as simple as that. I mean, they lose Dugan, they lose Miller, they lose DeMarcado, Quentin Johnson, Darius Davis. You know, they lose some big pieces on offense. I mean, it's not going to be a joke. 3 on offense are coming back, and a lot of the big talent is gone. But what Dykes did with that team, to get to the playoff, a lot of people questioned it, but you know what? They answered the bell because they took Michigan down, right? And then, of course, when they got to the big game, runner-up. So runner-up is, in my book, is, my hat's off to what Dykes did. Undefeated in the conference play. He knocked everybody's dicks in the dirt last year. So he's going to be up against it this year for sure. He does get offensive coordinator Garrett Riley from Clemson to kind of help him put the pieces back together. But what a job this guy did last year with this team, and they definitely overachieved a little bit. But well deserved, well played. My hat's off to Sonny Dykes and what he accomplished last year. Now this year's going to be a little bit different, so we're going to have to keep a close eye on things. A lot of moving parts and pieces here going forward for this team.
Well, the first one is replacing Degnan, and they have Chandler Morris. Now, Chandler Morris has a great resume and doesn't look bad. And then he gets Trey Sanders at the running back. Who doesn't love a running back from Alabama? But he's slacking in the line a little bit. It's going to be by committee on offense till we really see who's a real star. Now, if this guy, Chandler Morris, comes out as a stud, I'm sure the rest of the team can rise to the occasion and bring back that energy from last year. But if this guy is anything mediocre or less, then they'll probably be a struggle year for them.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, there's a lot of plug-and-play pieces. Hit the transfer portal hard. A couple of Alabama players coming on board. A new coach on the OC side. So yeah, I mean, it's just, and they pick up Richardson from Oklahoma State also on the wide receiver slot. So I think they'll be coached up. But how quick is it to put it together on the field? That's what remains to be seen. So we'll see what happens there on the offensive side.
Now, on the defensive side, it shows a different story here. I mean, they have a 3-man front. They lost a few pieces, but in the 3-man front, what we're learning as we're moving forward is that nose tackle position is everything. A good guy at the nose tackle kind of controls the flow of what teams can do up front as far as running the ball in the A and B gaps. But they do return nose tackle Demoise Williams. He's the lone return starter, but it's okay. They added some great talent around him. The linebackers in the secondary return some great talent and experience. It should be okay. So I think I have a little more faith in the defense, leveling up more than the offense. But the defensive numbers, despite them going so far, didn't look that great. And we all know this TT, even Sonny Dykes said it last year. He said it was the greatest group of players that he's ever coached. Like, they all get it, one sound, one band, and they did their thing. It's hard to replicate that. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen that type of energy go back-to-back. I mean, we've seen teams go back-to-back that were just great teams that, had great players and plugged in new players. But a team that was just all off of emotion and playing together, just a natural, strong game, they're kind of like one in a million. So I don't know where to place this team for this year.
You know, it's crazy. Like Tomlinson coached that team forever, and he put some of the greatest defenses on the football field. I say great, you know, in conference and the school history, you know, overall. And when he came in, he kind of flipped the script a little bit with the offense because TCU wasn't known for their big offense. They were like always a defensive team, and like you say, he flipped the script. So I don't think they put the emphasis on the defense, but they were competitive enough in that division, that league, to win. And you know they're gonna have to fill some shoes here too. But I think and that's where it's gonna a lot of it's gonna fall on the defensive side this year. I truly believe that, especially in this conference. Whether if they just fall off a little bit on the offensive side, you know, a score here, a score there, they were dominating in W's. Some of the games, if you go back and look at the scores, which I haven't done that yet, but you know they were high scoring games. You know they won a couple one score games. You know, a few one-score games, couple double-digit wins for this team against out of conference and lesser competition. But in conference, you know, you get down to a score or two, it's going to make a big difference on the offensive side. So they're going to have to keep the defense tight. And I think junior linebacker Johnny Hodges and Jamoy Hodge. So you got Hodges and Hodges, you know, senior, junior, and then they got 4 starters back in the secondary. So I'll look for them to kind of, you know, tighten things up on the defensive side a little bit and kind of pick up where the offense left off and just try to stay competitive. We'll see what the win season total is. When you put it up on the screen, we'll see if we agree upon this or not.
Well, let's go for the season total. So the books are not afraid. They got them at a 7.5. That shows a down year here to returning playoff team from last year. But it could make plenty of sense because they have a weird stretch in the schedule where they have to play Texas Tech, at Texas Tech, which has been known to be dangerous. Then they have to play Texas, Baylor, and Oklahoma all in a row. You know, so that could be a tough part of the season. You know, if things don't get fired off like they like it, that part could make or break them. So if I had to make a bet, I'm gonna say under. But I don't know, 7.5 is a low number, almost disrespectful, just like we said with Kansas State. But what do you think, Big Ragu?
Yeah. I mean, here we go again. We talked Kansas State divisional champs. Now we get TCU sneaking to the national champion scene, and they take it all the way to the top, basically. So did we disrespect them with the 7.5? Well, you know, they did lose a ton, you know, where Kansas State not as much. So it's all about replenishment, reloading. I wouldn't say reloading, but, you know, just trying to, you know, make things happen in a positive way. So not out of disrespect, but I'm gonna say under this year because last year was just too magical for this team the way they pull things off. And don't forget their first game, September 2nd. They're gonna be facing Coach Prime, so there's gonna be a big spotlight on that game too. So that's a game we want to tune in and see how this team does. That's gonna be Deion's first game, opening up against TCU. So that'll be an interesting look.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I don't know what we take away from that game, you know, he's a first-year coach, too. Then they play Nichols and Houston, and then SMU, West Virginia. So
I'll tell you right now on this show, September 2nd, Colorado, TCU, under.
Yeah, okay.
Take that to the bank.
There you go.
But let's jump into the next squad. Dave Aranda. Now, this is a guy I don't really have my radar all the way on Dave Aranda, but he falls in one of those spots that I love. 4th-year coach. Last year he went 6-7, 4-5 in the conference. The school record is 20-16, which is not bad. 12-5 at home, 6-10 on the way. But he's returning 7 on offense, 5 on defense, and he picks up 14 transfers. My man Big Ragu usually knows his coach as well. What do you think about Dave Aranda?
Well, Dave Aranda, you know, he's a former LSU guy. You know, after LSU won the championship, they went and snatched him, you know, when Burrow was there the next year. But, you know, he's a defensive he's a defensive guy. And, you know, he figured come in here just like Venables did, you know, try to right the ship on defense. Here's another team that kind of struggles on the defense, but offensively, you know, they kind of play up to the other team standards, more or less. So this is a team that'll take you down to the wire and play some exciting football. And I think with quarterback Blake Shapen, I think he's a junior. I think we get a little more production out of him. I mean, 2,800 yards, 18 TDs, but 10 INTs. So that's the trade off there. So I think he'll improve though this year. I think this is his breakout year, and they got a running back, Richard Reese, a sophomore. He's the first team Southeast, or I keep saying Southeastern Conference, Big 12 conference player. So and then he rushed for 900 yards as a freshman. So I think he'll coach these boys up this year. Like you said, I know you're a big guy. You're big on the fourth year type coaches. And his numbers are not bad. If you look at what he's done on ATS wise, if you bet him as a home favorite, is 8-3. If you fade him on the road as an away favorite, is 1-4. So keep that in mind with Baylor. Watch when they're favored, either home or away. Fade them on the road, bet them at home. So I think they'll compete this year. I'm really interested in this squad here. I think they move forward. I think they can have a good year this year, Baylor.
Yeah, only pulse I see on the offensive line is that the O-line is going to be a rebuild right here. So I don't know if we're going to get out of the O-line, but they look decent in the skill position. Like you said, Blake Sharpen, the second year, could be a success. But they also bring in new DC, Matt Powerledge from Oregon. I don't really know too much about this acquire right here.
Yeah, they need help.
They need help that bad, but I don't understand why they would get it from Oregon. But I don't know. The guy that was
a Cristobal leftover product, possibly?
Yeah, Cristobal leftover. I get it now. I get it. But I don't know. They do got to replace the nose guard in the front, which I just talked about, is definitely a key position when you run in a defense with a nose guard. So it's lots of work lined up for the new DC. They lack experience in the secondary. They got all kinds of issues on the defense that was kind of like mid last year. They gave up, they were the 72nd in points per game, 65 in rush and 63 in pass. So I don't know. What do you think, Big Ragu, as far as the defense?
Yeah, I mean, they got to make an improvement. I mean, this team played TCU down to 1 point last year. So if you look at what they did last year, they beat Iowa State 31-24. So they gave up 24 there. Kansas 23, pretty good offense there. Texas Tech, they held to 17 points. Oklahoma, they lost by 3 there. So I mean, they had some tough losses. K-State took them to the woodshed. They lost 31-3 there. And then TCU lost by a point, 28-29. And Texas, they gave up 38 to Texas with Texas, and they scored 27. So, their losses aren't terrible. They didn't get really, I would say, hammered, but the only game they really lost big to was to the K-State. I'm sorry, K-State game, 31-3. But all the other games they were in. So maybe a few adjustments on the defense. Now they bring in the DC from Oregon. Maybe that helps things out for them. But I think offensively they're right where they need to be. A few adjustments on defense. I'd be interested in the win total for this team this year.
We're going to go right over to that. But I just wanted to mention on offense, I thought it was kind of funny. I had never seen it before, but they called Jeff Grimes' offense the RVO, which stands for Reliable Violent Offense. I like that a lot.
Violent?
Reliable Violent Offense, the RVO offense.
All right.
I like that. It's kind of based out of the run, reliable because they can run the ball, violent because they're aggressive play calling. I like that.
Yeah.
But we see a 7.5 for Baylor right here. So they rank right up there with, we won't say the big boys at the 7.5. Do they reach 7.5? I don't know. But I must say that they have a favorable home schedule for this year.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. I mean, 7.5 is I think is doable for the squad. They like I said, they won 6 last year, right? So they're going to put them another 2 wins over. And if you go back and look at those games, TCU a point, a couple 1-score games. West Virginia 40-43. I can see it. I can see it. Snake 1 or 2 games away here. And I like I say, with the new entries in the league, Houston coming in, UCF coming in, those are quality programs too. But they've already been there, done that. This team here, so I think they get over that number. I lean over here. I'm making it official, but I lean over.
I don't know right here. I'm scared of an over. This one, I think I'll just stay off of this one. But I do like when Baylor plays good. It brings a lot of context to the Big 12 when Baylor plays good. Then you have Baylor, then you have Iowa State, Texas, Oklahoma. It's good when Baylor's in there.
Cincinnati's going to be down this year. Cincinnati's going to be a bottom tier team. Mark my words, this year. So that's a W for them. So I see him getting there. I can see him getting 8 wins. It's not going to be easy. I can see him get 8, maybe even 9 wins. They get. I'm not making that prediction, but I can see it happening.
That's right. Let's go ahead, man. Jump out of Baylor. Move on to the next team. Texas Tech, Joey McGuire, second year. Now I got excited capping this game. It was unbelievable. I mean, a team returning 11 on offense, 6 on defense, picks up 7 out the transfer box. Was 8-5 last year, 6-1 at home, 1-4 away. Well, we already said fade away and take them when they're at home. But this is going to be an interesting team right here. And, this Texas Tech team, don't forget, Mahomes came out of Texas Tech. And they get another baseball QB this year as well.
It's a storied quarterback program.
Yeah, they had a great program over here, and they do play great at home. I think they got a new stadium like 2 years ago, I believe it was. But they got a beautiful stadium down there. It's Texas football. That's what goes on in Texas. You got anything on Joey? Or you want to jump to the offense?
It's a great story with Joey McGuire. He spent his ranks. He's a high school coach that jumped into the college ranks pretty quick. You know what I mean? So Friday Night Lights live, turned into Saturday afternoon live with this guy, and he had a pretty good first year, 8-5. He gets, like you said, 11 back on the offensive side, and I guess he's trying to catch that some of that Kingsbury and Mahomes magic, with his guys, and just they've always had good quarterbacks coming out of that program, and the jury was still out on this guy. But I was reading some articles from his peers and stuff. He garnered a lot of respect, what he's done in his first year. So I was going to call it more of an experiment with him because the way they went about, hiring him, bringing him on board. But Tyler Slow, he's back for another season, and I think if this kid stays healthy, and I'm not going to say they have a favorable schedule, but with the newcomers, and this is a team that's been there, going forward, they could probably build something with this squad here. They got a ton of offense, and the special teams are pretty good too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this guy does. I mean, Slow. The problem with him, he's had just 11 games in 2 seasons, so he's always been hurt. So we'll see if the quarterback gets some stability, and he's a senior, so we'll see if. I don't know if he's a 5th-year senior or if he redshirted, but I know, like I say, the last 2 seasons he only played 11 games. So, and he's been productive when he's played, but he's always had that injury bug. So, and I think they get some quarterbacks too. I think they brought in quarterback, or they lost a quarterback, Donovan Smith. He went to Houston, so he transferred out. So, I'm going to see who's going to back this kid up. Baron Morton is the number 2 guy. I don't know nothing about this kid, but anyways, long story short, they need him to be healthy going forward, and I think they got second team wide receiver Jared Bradley and Miles Price. They had 102 catches a season ago, and running back Taj Brooks is back after having almost a 900-yard season, 175 touches. So. But I think their Achilles heel has been the offensive line, is what I've read. Defensively, I think they kind of fit in with the rest of the gang. That they're like 28 points a game, somewhere in that range. But the numbers are not bad though on the offense. Look at those numbers you got on the screen. Pretty decent.
Yeah, those numbers are good. Yeah, really good. But another hats off to Joey McGuire. I mean, not only was he a Texas high school coach, but he was a great Texas high school coach. I wish I had our guys coach or Marley over here for Brothers and Bets. They know all about Texas football, which is a big thing. So to be a high school coach in Texas, which is a great thing, and to come up to Texas Tech, I'm pretty sure he gains a hold of a lot of recruits down there, and they play great football down there. They said that this quarterback room is probably one of the best quarterback rooms in the conference because they got great depth there with some great guys other than Tyler. So that's a great thing.
Oh, you talking
11
about
returners.
They got
have 5. What'd you say?
You said overall they got good quarterback room overall, depth on the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the defense is only returning 6, but the 6 that are returning are in great spots, like in those spots where you put and this is what Brian Kelly did last year to stay afloat. He got his returners in the right spots so they could lead the other players in those positions, and that's what they got set up over here. So they look great, man. To me, they look like the dark horse of the Big 12 for real, with the 11 back and all that good stuff. But what do you think about any other thing on the defense?
Well, I was reading they also led the Big 12 in sacks, so that's a big plus there. So that's something to build off of. And let's see, not statistical categories, but yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think the defense, they should improve this year. The number of players they got coming back. They got on the defensive tackles are good, the middle linebacker are good, and the corners are good. And so basically, they got depth. I would say depth, but they got the positions covered, like on the line, up the middle, and in the corner. So if they could just build around that, then they should step a little bit forward here, I believe. So, but I don't know. What do you think about the win totals for these guys?
The win total for this one, I'm gonna say over, just on the simple fact is this is my dark horse right here. I'm gonna say it again in case I have to rewind this later in the season when you see them balling out of control, and I'm gonna say this is my dark horse in the Big 12 right here. But over 7.5, I'm gonna go with it. I mean, they opened up against Wyoming, and if they do a good job versus Wyoming, at Wyoming, they're gonna prove to be tough. That's gonna help them out. Then they go see Oregon. I haven't really capped Oregon, so I don't know exactly where they at, but it's an out-of-conference game, Big 12 versus Pac-12. They got a shot. Tarleton, West Virginia's kind of down this year a little bit. So they got a chance to be at least 4-0, possibly 5-0. Houston might have not had a bad year last year. They might show up this year in this conference, so I'm not going to mark them out. But they got a good chance right here to get over this 7.5. I'm gonna say 9-2, somewhere up in there. And wow. I'm going with this as my dark horse.
I like it. I like the confidence you got in them. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of upside, especially with the development side of things. With the coaching staff and everything else they have going on. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna make a prediction on any because I don't know enough about it, but it sounds good, and I hope you do well with it, my man.
Absolutely. Let's go. Keep this thing rolling. So I separated these two in the top 7 of the conference and the bottom 7 because they don't really have an east or west. But this is the last of the top 7 over here in the Big 12. Old school Mike Gundy, 19th year right here, 7-6 last year, 4-5 in the conference. He's 149-69 overall, 83-27 at home, 54-35. I mean, he's been getting the job done for a reason. He got 7 coming back on offense, 6 on defense. I don't know about digging in the transfer portal for 14. It's not a good look for you, Gundy. I think you could do better than that. But he had to do what he had to do, man. He brings in a new DC, Brian Nardo, and he also has co-DC Joe Bob Clements over there, and then also the 4th-year OC Casey Dunn. So I don't know. Mike Gundy's one of those. Well, I ain't gonna say Mike Gundy. I'm gonna say Oklahoma State. It's one of those teams you love to hate. In certain situations, you take them because they always come out with some good defense and they can beat some spreads and stuff like that. But sometimes you wish they could just get over the hump, and it's just so hard for them just to get over the hump. So I don't know. I think sitting 7th in the conference is probably where they always going to be. Maybe sometimes on a good year more, but they're probably going to be 7-6 this year. What do you think, Big Red?
Yeah, 19th year, my man. So remember the video of Mike Gundy? Come at me. I'm a man. I'm 40. Well, guess what? You ain't 40. You're 55 right now. So, but he's been around the block a few times. And I respect him for that. So, yeah, this is a team that had some issues on defense. And when you start getting down to this level in that conference, remember I was telling you like 28 plus points per game. They fall in that category outside of the top 3. But and the water started getting real murky. But you know what? You pick your spots and you roll with them. So on the defensive side, I hear that they're going to employ a 3-3-5, which we know who started that many moons ago. Your buddy Rocky Long, right? Wasn't he a 3-3-5 guy back in the day?
Absolutely.
We're seeing a lot more than I'm noticing that in the Big 12 too. A lot of guys are starting to run it, and they're like I said, they're relying right around 29 points per game, right around 6 points per play. 6 yards per play. So they brought in defensive coordinator Brian Nardo from Division II, Gannon University. So wherever they found this guy at, I guess Gundy's going to try to make some magic there. But it's just one of those teams that you kind of expect a little bit. Maybe they over deliver on occasion and then under deliver on other roles too. But as far as him, getting to the window with him, you haven't made any money even though he's 149-69. ATS he's looking at 121.85, which is 56%. You're not going broke, but his very best role at a 66% clip is out of conference, 43-22. So if you're going to back Gundy, play him out of conference.
Absolutely. And on offense, he brings in a transfer from Michigan. I can't be high on these transfers. Sometimes they weren't the great players where they were. That's why they ended up where they at. But this offensive lineman, Preston Wilson, he may be headed for the NFL, and the offensive line returns 6 who had starts last year. So a lot of experience on the offensive line should help out a lot on the offensive side. I don't see much wrong with the offensive side. It's the defensive side is that what we got to watch. Last year, points per game, they were 97, running 103, passing 106. Looks like they got a lot to work out over there. And like you said, they bring in a new DC, a new system. That's a lot of moving parts to say that you're going to be big time this year.
Yeah, Derek Mason was, the old Vandy coach. He was their guy. Only was there a year, and they took off. So he only was there about a year. So whatever went sideways for him, whether it's front office or disagreement in philosophies or whatever. So, and them Vandy coaches, they're pretty disciplined guys. They're kind of like the Stanford guys. They're the smart guys too. So whatever it was, it didn't pan out for them. So now, like you said, they went out and got this Brian Nardo from Gannon University, Division II. So I have no idea of his numbers. Shame on me for homework on him.
It's more like they went and got cheap labor, right? But I'm not going to undermine them because a lot of these great coaches, you never know. They come from the South Dakotas and all that good stuff.
They got the high school coach, for the Red Raiders.
Yeah, he did well.
What they did there. So,
but Gannon, where is Gannon? I don't know what is Gannon. I have
no idea where Gannon University is, but wherever it is, if anybody's in the chat from Gannon, please let us know where you're from.
Let us know where Gannon is. Let's go to the season totals right here. A 6.5 on a good year. I say they do it easily, but if things don't work out, meshing all these parts together and new coaches on defense, they could slip up in a lot of games. But the schedule's not super overwhelming. They play Arizona State. We said he does great out of conference, so that can count as a win. Iowa State's going to be tough this year. Has to play the K-State team we just talked about, Oklahoma, and they got to play BYU. I don't know how to rank BYU this year because despite the talent level or whatever we expect out of BYU. The Big 12 conference, all of the coaches one by one are going to learn about playing these players that are grown men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, without a doubt. So, like I say, I know Cincinnati's going to be a little low this year for sure. Central Arc, South Alabama. Don't sleep on that South Alabama team. We know them well. The Jaguars, they're a very capable team.
Yes, we do.
Upset-minded team that can play some football. And Central Arkansas is a top tier, program, little small school. So, those first games are like sleepy type games. Where I'm not going to say upset, but I know I would lean under with you on that spot.
Yeah, I would lean under too, but I wouldn't get to the window with it because I wish them great success, man. I wish they could get over the hump sometimes.
I mean, if you look at the last 2 seasons, they eclipsed that number easily. They did have some 7-6 last year, 12-2 the year before. I mean, so yeah, it's come off 8-3 the year before that, 8 wins and 7 wins. So that's a low number. They've outperformed that number the past 5 seasons with ease.
Exactly. Gundy's the guy that can pull a rabbit out of the hat. So
yeah,
it works for them.
And you said 6.5. 6.5 was the number.
6.5. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I might go over. I might sneak over that one, but I can see it going under. It's right there. It's right there.
Yeah. Well, in a nutshell, it's gonna be difficult for them to go over. Consider all the other teams in the Big 12 that we thought are going to go over too. Like somebody got to lose in some of these games. So I don't want to set everybody up for failure. So some of these games I just have to stay off. But the number, it does look enticing. And the talent level and all that, it looks doable. So I don't know. But let's go to the first team of the bottom 7. Maybe they should have been in the top 7, or maybe where they should be. Now, this is a team I should just be quiet and let Big Ragu go because it's definitely in his neck of the woods. But Gus Malzahn, I love this guy, man. Gus Malzahn, I like his intensity. He strategizes. He's a quality coach. He's in his 3rd year at UCF. He was 9-5 last year. He's 6-2 in the conference. He's 18-9 overall, 12-2 at home, and he's 5-6 away. He's returning 8 on offense, 7 on defense, which is great. But he did do a little digging in the transfer portal and grabbed 19. What do you think about this UCF team? New offensive coordinator Dan Henshaw, and first-year DC Addison Williams. He stepped up and promoted to instead of Coe, he's going to be the DC. So, what do you think about what they got going on here in Central Florida?
Well, UCF's a big play offense, as we know. John Rice Plumlee, we seen him last year. He's the guy that could put the ball away, take off and run 80 yards. He can throw it down the field. He can throw it across the middle. So he's an Ole Miss transfer that came to UCF and started last year when they had some injuries on the quarterback position, but he was in the wings, always wanting to play. He played behind Matt Corral, so he was a Heisman candidate, so he had to make the move. So he made the move to UCF, and Malzahn brought him on. So I like this kid Plumlee. He's a gamer. I like the game plan that Malzahn brings. I think his offense sets up well for the Big 12 with the defensive style that they play there. So all along, when they played in the American, them in Memphis and Houston, Cincinnati, those are the teams. They came over here. So they're going to fit in well in this league, and then, like I said, once Oklahoma and Texas, it's going to be a wide open conference. But I think he could probably be the best dual threat quarterback in this division in Big 12 play. So he's an offensive guy. He fits his system, and they got some big playmakers with Javon Baker and Kobe Hudson, wide receivers. They combined for over 1,400 yards last year, almost 100 catches. I think this team's up to the task. It's just a matter of just replanting, getting their feet wet in this conference, and I think they'll be won't be too long before they'll be a contender. Maybe not this year, but maybe the year after that, and the year after that.
Yeah, I mean, look at the numbers last year: points per game, 37, rushing 9, passing 57. I think to some degree we may see Plumlee play on Sundays at some point in time. He's a quality quarterback.
He's like a Baker Mayfield type kid. He's got that moxie to him. He can make shit happen with his legs. He can air it out with his arm. He's a dual threat. He's a perfect dual threat quarterback.
And the way that it comes together right here, with the running game that they have over there, it looks still intact. The offensive line, they did have to plug and play a few players there, but I think Malzahn gets it together good enough to have a top-ranking offense, and I think that they're perfectly okay on the offensive side. But the defensive side is where it may be a few questions as they bring over quite a few transfers as well. You got any insights on this defense?
Yeah, I agree with you. They got 4 starters. They play a front 6. They got 4 coming back on the front 6. And the thing is, with the new, I'm not sure about the new look of the DC here. I haven't done my homework on him yet. But I think in this conference, like I say, it kind of plays similar to the AAC where they were playing before. But the talent level was a little higher over here, but now I think all things being equal, I think the defense, I think their numbers will mix in pretty good in this conference, and I think they'll probably wind up in the middle somewhere. They're not going to be a top tier defense here, but I think there's enough offense that it's not going to put a big burden on the defense early on. But if the offense stutters a little bit, then I can see the defense getting wore down in certain games, in the bigger games, like when they're playing Texas. Well, let's look at this. Well, we haven't looked at their schedule yet, but we'll have to look through the schedule and see when the win total comes. But I think the defense they'll be up to the task here. But I'm not sure about the new DC. I'm not too familiar with him. I got to see his schemes and see what how they attack these offenses.
Well, he's a promote up, so he's pretty much with the same system. It's just he has a different role this year. But they say the defensive line might be one of the best defensive lines they had in a while. So we'll keep that out in mind as we look at the season total. A solid 7 for this team. It seems like I don't know how we're going to get all these 8-win teams in the Big 12 unless they just kill them out of conference. So first 3 games, these out of conference games of the season, we might have to lean Big 12 teams.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, well, that's what I've noticed. Like all the coaches, have had a lot of success out of conference. ATS numbers now, not just wins, ATS. So that bodes well. So, you got to bet them those first 3 weeks. You're going to look at some crazy numbers probably, when they're playing. I mean, they got to play Kent State, Boise State, and then Villanova, and then Kansas State. So the first 3 games will be out of conference. And then right from there on, it's all conference after that. So I'm not sure about Malzahn's numbers out of conference, although he's been around the block a few times. So I can kind of give you like a little look on. Let's see, Malzahn's numbers, not spectacular, believe it or not. I mean, 95 and 47 overall. He's like 70 and 70 ATS, against the number. So all his numbers are similar, but they're like middle type numbers. So you're not going to make a ton of money betting Malzahn. Home dog, 64%. Away favorites, 17, 11, 60%. So not anything better than 60 is decent. Like 64, 65%, those are good numbers. But he's got 2 of those. He's got home dog, 64%, away favorite, 60%. So.
Hey, and we can't take away the element of surprise, being that he's coming over from the AAC.
Respect the unknown here with this team because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, don't take away the element of surprise. And with all the new teams in the Big 12, BYU, Cincinnati, UCF, you got to be careful of the element of surprise. But let's keep it moving.
Sure.
Here we go. Matt Campbell, Iowa State. I'm surprised I don't have my graphics right on this because this is my bottom 7. This is my bottom 7 dark horse right here. He's in his 8th year. I mean, he struggled with this team. He had some good times and bad times. He's above 500, 46 and 42, 29 and 17 at home. He's 16 and 12 on the road, but gets back a big banging 9 on offense, 6 on defense. The offense is loaded with talent and experience. Last year, injuries hit them kind of hard. So this year, they're going to be getting some of those players back off of injury, including quarterback Hunter Deekers and 4 old linemen. So I think it's going to be surprise. This year, they're going to be a lot better than the 4-8 they did last season. So, I like this as my dark horse. That's all I have on the offense. You got something on the offense? So Matt Campbell?
Yeah, man. I don't want to break some bad news to you about this, but have you been watching the news about the scandal with the Iowa State team as far as some of these kids placing bets and all that stuff? So and I think Deekers was one of those guys that got caught up in that too with the quarterback. So we might have to call an audible on Iowa State as far as what's going to happen long term. Yeah, what's going to happen long term? But I mean, if you cap the coach, Campbell, like you said, he's 8th year, and with some of the waters that have kind of been a little bit murky now, I had him on a hot seat, not because of the what looms, with what's going on off the field, but just he was one of these coaches that a lot of people were hot on a couple of years back, that they were talking maybe NFL, wants him, they want him. And he had really great success at Toledo. And then he's kind of, like you said, he's 46 and 42, 81 and 57 overall, but his 8th year, he's done a pretty decent job over at Iowa State. So I just don't know what's going to happen with the team as a whole, with what's going on off the field. But they do have some stars on defense. Offensively, they're going to have to figure some things out, with what's going on with the controversy they got going on. But yeah, I mean, they got a kid that plays corner, TJ Tampa, his name is. He's probably one of the best in conference. So look out for him. And then just watch what just pay attention to what goes on with this team off the field before they get on the field. So it's unfortunate, but they're going to play. They're going to get their kids on the field. I don't know who's suspended, who's not, but I know there's some stuff coming. And I don't know. I know Deekers' name was one of them. So I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback right now.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on that one, man. I've been so involved with capping the field still and stuff like that.
Without a doubt. I just found I kind of heard about it, but I just started looking at the players individually this year, and I know. And then the running back Jareer Brock was the other one too. So he's another kid that got caught up in it. Yeah,
it's a dog world. Well, let's look at the season total. It's probably switched up on me. I don't even have the season total down on this one. I kind of overlooked this team in my design, so I guess I made a mistake right here. But
yeah,
anyways, I see it. Yeah, I see them a lot of tough games for them this year. I think they could do better than the 4-8, but with the turmoil, they might be sounding like Auburn all over again from last year with Brady Harsin.
It's a distraction. It's a big distraction.
Yeah, it is, and you can't have that in college football. It's never worked. It's never worked having those type of distractions and winning games. And the transfer portal, NIL money, all that other stuff, it makes it even worse nowadays. But they do have to see Iowa. They see them at home, but they have to see Oklahoma at Oklahoma, TCU, Cincinnati at Cincinnati, Baylor at Baylor, BYU at BYU. That's a road trip for them. And also they got to play Texas. So tough schedule, but it's a little bit manageable. I thought they would be the dark horse for me, but let's go into my next dark horse.
There you go.
And this is another team. Let me see. Lance Lepoy, 3rd year here at Kansas. He's getting back 10 on offense, 7 on defense, 13 transfers. The strange thing about him, and let's go straight into the offense right here, is Jalen Daniels. He went down last year, and the first time he went down, I think they were 5-0. He went down, kind of changed everything. He came back the last 3 games of the season. It just wasn't there no more. But they had one of those TCU type things early in the season where they were just really flowing and winning and stuff like that. So this year they may have a chance to put some of that back on the field, and they returned Jalen Daniels, who proved that he's valuable since the injury. The team went 1-6. 10 returners on offense could be dangerous considering what they did last year at the beginning of the season. So I think Kansas may be another one of my dark horses. I think they get it done in the big games this year, and they stay healthy, and they advance. What do you think, Big Raccoon?
I think this team is loaded with the healthy talent. Like if Daniels stays healthy, who knows what happens last year, but with running back Devin Neal is going to be coming back, and they got what I consider like an all-pro center, Mike Nowitzki. He'll be playing on Sunday, so the nucleus is there for this team. They got a good offensive line, they got a good running game, they got probably he's arguably one of the better quarterbacks in the conference. We talk about Plumlee, but this kid's already shown what he does in conference when he's healthy and playing well. So the bad thing is for this team is that they give up like 35 points a game. But I like the progressions. I really do. I think there's some big time upside with this team here. I think we're going to see some nice value spots with this team. If they can hold it down on defense just a little bit more, with the 10 coming back on offense, seven on defense, there'll be some opportunities to play on this team for sure. So, I mean, Leopold's numbers, I can say I think he's 8-17 as a whole, right? Over there, it's his third year, after 2 seasons.
Yeah,
he's 45-50 FBS, but home favorite number, ATS numbers are short sample size. 3-1 as a home favorite. As an away dog, you want to fade him 4-8, 67%. And off a straight off loss, he's like 5-10. So we'll talk about those numbers moving forward. But overall, I think a lot of upside for Kansas football and the Jayhawks.
And there's that defense we talked about. Points per game, 127 against the run, 125 against the pass, 117. They definitely got to level up to compete on a high level over here. They're returning a good secondary and some experience at the linebacker position. The D-line is going to have to show up and do some things in order for them to expand. Now, this is another team like in the other conference I looked at real good at the coaching staff and everything. I was like, wow, this is an elite Buffalo coaching staff playing over in the Big 12. And we've seen some of these small Macs and all that stuff step up and rise to the occasion. So I don't know. It's got a lot of tough games for them this year. Let's take a look at the season total. Got a lot of tough games for them, over under 6. BYU, you got to deal with the grown men at Texas, at Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, at Iowa State, Texas Tech, and they get to play Cincy at the end, which we'll talk about later. Because Cincy, I don't know why. I mean, they still have Cincy still has the athletes from Luke Fickell, but I don't know. The coaching is a little off balance, so that may be an easy win. 6, I don't know. My new dark horse, so I'm gonna have to go over 6 in this one. I get a better number than my old dark horse, so I think that they can get the job done. That Jalen Daniels, I'm a little biased. He's a California kid, went to Cerro High School right here in Gardena, where I went to high school. Not my high school, but the same city. But these California quarterbacks are doing well in some of the places that they at. So that's the big nan with the Pac-12 and the local schools, is that the California schools are not getting the recruits. They're all over the place in the SEC and Big 12 and all that stuff. So I think it's going to go over 6. What's the at, Big Ragu?
Yeah, I mean, a big up. I mean, it's 6 for a reason because that's a big spot up from where they have where they have so they're gonna match their win total from last year basically. So they go one better, which I think they are one better this year than they are last year. I tend to agree with you, but like you said, the defense is the Achilles heel. But I know they got to replace 4 guys on the line, and you talk about Buffalo. Well, they went out and they got a linebacker from Bowling Green, JB Brown, Portal. Uh, edge rusher from Minnesota, Austin Booker, and a cornerback from LSU, Darius McGee, among some others. So they hit that portal pretty hard. So we'll see. Maybe they throw some wrinkles at some of these Big Ten offensive looks here, and they get you that extra win and cash that ticket, my man.
Cash that ticket. And let's keep it going on. BYU Coach Kalani, 8th year here. He's 56-34, 30-13 at home, 20-17 away. He's returning 8 on offense, 7 on defense, and he picks up 7 transfer. Now, a lot can be said about BYU not playing in a true conference for a while, settling down for a conference. The schedule changes. There's a lot of moving parts with BYU finally finding a home. But in case you guys don't know, BYU is a Mormon school. These kids have to do the Mormon thing before they can turn on the field. So a lot of these kids, they don't hit the field at 18 and 19. They hit the field more at 22 and 21, which we see all the time. It can make a big difference. I mean, grown man strength versus kid strength, or, however you see it, it makes a difference at times. So coming over to the Big 12 with the element of surprise, they could hang in there, but they've been so inconsistent in their past. I was high on BYU last year because I felt like each game was a display to see what conference they were going to end up in. But a lot can be said about this team, man. They bring in a new DC, Jay Hill, which they needed to do because the defense has been slacking. The quarterback room has depth. They picked up Kendon Slovis. Now, Kendon Slovis is the guy who played high school. He was a high school quarterback for Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was his coach. So he's a product of Kurt Warner. He has some classy, came in through USC. He's been moved around a little bit. So he's got a little classiness in him, potential to be a great quarterback. But I don't know if BYU is the place to do this. But I don't know. What you think, Big Ragu?
Yeah, Slovis, the former USC, and then he went to Pitt. He did a stint at Pitt for a little bit. Now he's over to BYU. So he's trying to find solid footing, where he can kind of make a difference, so to speak. And I guess whatever, kudos for Kalani to go grab this kid here, because evidently, I want to say he's closer to home. I mean, Utah, California. I mean, it's not too far away, I guess, right? So, anyways, maybe they with the addition of Adrian Robinson, a former UNLV product at running back, Louisville also. He's shown some good flashes. Even when he was at Pitt, he's shown. But I think his best year was still his freshman year when he was with USC. But the Robbins kid, he's rushed for 1,000 yards, so maybe he helps Slovis' cause out. And they got a wide receiver, Cody Epps, and they lose Puka. They did lose like 4 guys to the draft, NFL. They did on the offensive side. So they lost a tackle, a wide receiver, 2 wide receivers. So we'll see. He's going to need a little bit of help all the way around. But, I think they got a low win total coming in. So that might be something we look at. But I do like the move that they have made it to the Big 12. I think it bodes well for them longer term, because BYU is one of these teams that they take on all comers, kind of like Notre Dame did in the past.
Yeah,
they're always on the move. They're playing, and like you said, these kids, they do their missions and they come out and they have that age factor, that the physicality to them. So It's a team I like to back as a dog. And as a matter of fact, if you've done that with this team under Kalani, he's 12-4 as an away dog. ATS 75% winner. So keep that in mind going forward.
Yeah, and this defense this year, the front seven should come together, but they need a little improvement in the secondary. But the Big 12 has a lot of heavy offenses, and they have proved last year that heavy offenses is kind of like their Achilles heel. So they're going to have it rough, but they're going to have that size, age, and element of surprise on their side. So I think overall they could probably make a good day out of this, and that's the kind of team they are because they were independent. Now, if you want to get a little deeper, then independent schools kind of schedule the games they want to schedule. So they travel to different places. They have to be very prepared and ready to play anywhere. They're used to that. Now they're in the conference. They know what's ahead of them. This year, the element of surprise, they're ready to play at all these places. And they should come away with a game or two that you don't think they can come away with.
Yeah. Don't forget now, like you said, the physicality of the team, they're both their lines have lost talent to the NFL. So they got to replace these guys. Do they reload or do they recruit well and do that in that regard? Like you said, but I think it's a fact that, when the kids come in, they're still big and physical. And I think that's why, they wind up being in the NFL because these are guys that they're just not, kids that are just trying to find their way. These are guys that have had some extra time to prepare and work the mass and, get physical, get stronger. And I think they handle the job here. I really do. I think I'm going to be really interested in backing this team in the win total this season coming in. I think their total is going to be low too, from what I see.
Well, one more question before we go to the win total. What do you think about Kalani's seat? Do you think he's on the hot seat? I mean, he is in his 8th year. They made it to where they are. I mean, if they make a move for put some money together for a more quality coach and since the end of the Big 12, it's possible. But this guy he's been pliable. He's did his thing these so many years. So I don't know. What do you think about him being on the hot seat? Real brief.
Yeah. Now 56-34 overall. Just I think those are decent numbers. I think this will give them, like I say, with them getting their footing in the league. Is not, I don't want to call it rockiness, but now they can really build upon preparation now for the same teams year in year out. So I think that kind of bodes well instead of watching game film week to week and then having a big library having to change and you're still gonna have coaching carousels no matter where you go. But I think just the way the league structures, I think it bodes well for him longer term. 8th year, but here's the thing about coaching. If you don't perform, then you got to go. But I think his record is still respectable, for an 8th year coach. He's still 20 games over 500, and a 50-game schedule, 60-game schedule. That's pretty good.
And if he has to go, he'll probably end up in the Mountain West. But let's go to the season total.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was 5.5. I mean, Sam Houston, Southern Utah, put him in the bank. Arkansas, maybe a loss. Kansas, maybe a loss. Cincinnati, probably a win. TCU, maybe a loss. Texas Tech, Texas, West Virginia, another win. Iowa State, Oklahoma. Oklahoma State can win one of those. Over 5.5 is good. I like it.
Yeah. I see them winning 3 out of their first 5 games. I know, Sam Houston and Southern Utah. Then they got Arkansas and Kansas back to back, and then Cincinnati to win. Then they got to bye. Then they got TCU. Don't forget TCU is going to be a little bit down this year. So yeah, 5.5. I mean, I see where they come up with that number, but I still like them to get over. I mean, it's a team that had 8 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, 7 wins, 7 wins, and they took on all comers. So this is no different here. I think they're up to the task. Give me the over.
Let's take it. We're going with the over on BYU. Book it right here on Boston the Sauce. Let's go. All these previews. I still can't read the number on that credit card in your hand on the flight right there.
That's why I got it flipped around so you can't see it. I don't want our viewers to see it either. It's bouncing anyways. Don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, West Virginia preview. Our guy Neil Brown, 5th year at West Virginia, 5-7 in conference, 3-6, 22-25, 14-9 at home, 7-15 away, returning 6 on offense, 7 on defense. Diggs in the portal for 15. Many people are down on this West Virginia team. As a matter of fact, they're part of the last 3 teams of this conference. And shout out to us moving this show along. We down to the last 3. But on offensive coordinator, first year Chad Scott, and they keep the same DC from last year. So I don't know. What you think about Neil Brown over here with these West Virginia Mountaineers?
I'm gonna say this guy's seat is so hot that they got a branding iron ready to stick him right, and you know what, with it. And then I think this is going to be his last season. I really do. I don't see how he gets 6 wins this year. I really don't. And if they don't get to the bowl game, the funny thing was, I think he's got 2 bowl games. Was it last year? Did he go to the bowl game last year? I think. Let's see. I think they were one of these 5-7 teams that made it to the bowl game, and then the year before he made 6 wins. So, but I don't see if he doesn't get like 6 wins, better than 6 wins here, I don't see him getting to the bowl, having his job next year. But yeah, he's been up against it his whole career over there at West Virginia. The thing was, when he was at Troy, he was a pretty good coach there. And just when he made the transition to the Big 12, it hasn't been a bed of roses. 22-25. So he's going to have to. He came in when Dana Holgerson went to Houston. That was he came in behind him. So he had some shoes to fill there, and it just didn't come to fruition with him. But his biggest win season was six games in 4 seasons. So we'll see. Maybe this could be the year he breaks out. But I don't think he has the talent to do it here. I'm not really high on the squad this season.
Well, he does have Garrett Green, pretty promising guy right there. Was a high recruit. He does return 5 on the O-line, which is what you need to survive sometimes. So if he could get the skill positions to play by committee, brings in big transfer from LSU at tight end, he could be cooking something on the offensive side. It wasn't too shabby last year. 63 points per game, 60 on the rush, 77 on the pass. So they could mix something together and make it happen on the offensive side. But you know how that goes, though. If the defense, can't get them off the field, it's no good. If the offense, does what they're supposed to do. So look at the defense, a whole nother picture right here. Look at the rankings right there. Points per game, 119, rush 69, passing 118. So they got a lot of work to do on defense. The linebacker in the secondary bring back experience, but the D-line brings in a couple transfers. So only time will tell how this team comes together on the defensive side. And that's the part we got to sit around and wait on.
Yeah. I know. The positive thing is the O-line has come completely back. You got all the starters coming back on the O-line. And then I guess the longtime backup, Garrett Green, this guy's small in stature. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. And then I guess he's battling with Nico Mariccioli, I guess his name, 6'1", 225 freshman. So they're saying there's a battle for the quarterback position. So that hasn't been locked up yet. But, the defense, they've been giving up, like you see the number, there's 33 points a game, giving 6 yards a play. So they're going to have to definitely make some adjustments. And then again, we're looking at a division where, it's been like an air raid type offense. So that's why you see those numbers. So without having that secondary and bringing pressure up on the front side, it's like a field day for squads putting points up on them. And they are one of the bottom, like you say, bottom 3 teams in the conference right now. So even with the new guys coming in, the unknown, like you said, be prepared for the unknown. So maybe they move a little bit forward here. Maybe that helps their cause a little bit with the additions of the other teams coming in. But some of the teams that are coming in are prolific offenses, and it might make it even a longer season for the team.
But can they get 5 wins though? Can they get 5 wins out of the schedule? 5. They opened up against Penn State. That's a L off top. Then they played Duquesne, Pitt, Texas Tech, TCU. Might get some love with Houston, but Houston might work against them going against Hogerson in that spot. And then, BYU, Oklahoma, Baylor at the end at Baylor. Could be rough for this team. So we got to be hoping right here that Neil Brown keeps the poise together in the team because they're going to have some losses. But to get over 5, if he can coach them up good enough to keep them poised, then they can come away with a few wins late to get over that 5. But it's not worth it to risk it to me. One thing I had to learn when to pick my bum fights, and West Virginia's not a bum fight I want to play with.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to lay low on this one because, like I said, 6 wins. I can see 6 like being the max, and maybe 5 being like a push. So I don't see any really big value in that number. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it could land right on 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It'd be a waste of time. But speaking of Hogerson, let's go on over to the next team. Dana Holgorsen, 5th year. Oh, I kicked this all the way out. Maybe I just did this screen wrong right here. But anyway, y'all probably can hear me. Dana Holgorsen, 5th year, 8-5 last year, 5-3 in the conference, 27-20 overall, 11-10 at home, 14-8 away. That's a great away record right there. And he's returning 5 on offense, 7 on defense, and he picks up 19 transfers. Now, I'm not sure why we ain't showing right now, but it don't matter anyway. We don't look that good anyhow. But let's get down to the meat and potatoes. The offense last year, points per game ranked 13, rushing 75, pass 7. To me, I think Houston basically they just lost some bad games. They just was a little off balance. I don't think that they necessarily lacked the talent or skill or drive or anything. The car was just missing. They got sold a lemon last year. So I think this will be a big bounce back year for them, for Houston. But they are coming over to the Big 12, which could work or work against them. I'm going to stroll through this real quickly. You probably won't be able to see us on these. Big Ragu, if you have anything to chime in, just go ahead and chime in.
Yeah. Well, the main thing, offensively speaking, for the Cougars is Clayton Tune, the quarterback, and Dank Tell gone, right? So then, so now they get Donovan Smith from Texas Tech, which we talked about Texas Tech quarterbacks and stuff like that. He's the quarterback. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Cougars now, and Holgorsen, he's an air raid type of guy. So I think the buzz with this team was not last year, but if you remember in 21, they had one of the best defense. They had one of the best defenses in the nation, and they fell off last year. They fell off last year pretty hard. I think they ranked 112th in points and 32 points a game. So that was the big thing for them. Was basically the fall off in defense. So and they had a pretty decent offense overall. So like I say, their Achilles heels was the defense. But I think they hit the transfer portal pretty good this year. I think they lost a few guys, have some guys coming back. I think they make a big improvement on defense here, and so more or less, I think they got a Texas A&M transfer. I think they got an All-American freshman from New Mexico that's coming in at corner, and some Division II Texas Southern kid who I'm reading about is pretty strong here. So I think defensively on the horizon they make big improvements. I think offensively they're going to have to make some adjustments there too. So And that's why we're seeing them towards the bottom, because their defensive numbers were so bad last year. And do they expect them to come all the way back to where they were in 21? Probably not. But if you look at their record, hey, they were 8-5 last year, 5-3 in the American, and I think they're going to have a pretty low win total expectation, being down like towards the bottom. So, what do you think about that?
Well, let's go right into the win total. They got a low 4.5. I say it's a go on the 4.5. We got elements of surprise. I mean, unless you're a person that think that the Big 12 is too big for this AAC team. But, I mean, you know, Houston was top tier, like you said, in 21 in the AAC. They just kind of had a goof up last year. So they definitely got to come out and run through UTSA, Rice. It's going to be a down year for TCU. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Sam Houston. And, you know, if they get lucky at Texas Tech, then great. If not, they'll get West Virginia. So I think this could be another one of those season win total overs that you hit, Big Ragu, in like the fourth or fifth game of the season. I was watching some old tape. I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about a future that you had, and
yeah,
it was already
Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They cashed in after
Vanderbilt.
the fourth game, and it was 2.5. And they won the first game, lost the third, and hit the fourth game. So this could be another one of those scenarios here. Because I think they come back. Hogan's too good of a coach, and he's a good recruiter, and he's got a winning record, 27-20, right, 85-61 overall in his career. You know, so he's a winning coach. He knows how to recruit talent. He knows how to find players. He's good at developing players. He's a quarterbacks type coach, and I think you know, they tighten up the defense. I think we catch that. I'm gonna say they go to bowl game, 6 wins.
Absolutely, and they just had a bad year last year. You know, and that's sometimes what separates cappers like us from the line setters is you know, they have to move off of likeness and bias, and we have to move off of straight making money. So straight making money, there's a lot of value in 4.5 with a quality coach, a quality team that looked like they just goofed up last year. And that's a good bet right there. But let's keep the show moving to the last team. We keeping this time down a little bit, but let's go for it. Oh, another one I messed up. So I'm gonna just intro Scott Satterfield, first year coach right here. I mean, he's a good coach. He's first year coach right here, 9-4. Since they was last year under Fickle, 6-2 in the conference. All that's kind of hearsay. He only gets 3 back, 6 defense, and a whopping 23 transfers. Big Ragu spoke earlier about how this gonna be a down year for Cincinnati. Go ahead, Big Ragu. I'm gonna let them know what's happening.
Yeah, so basically it's like old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard and wasn't nothing left in the cupboard. This is what this is right here with Satterfield. I like Satterfield. You know, he coached for a day and a half over there at App State. Then he went over to Louisville and did his thing over there. Louisville, he had what's the kid's name? The quarterback, Malik. Anyways. He had a 4-year starter there when he was at Louisville. So, and I think they underperformed a little bit. The first year did pretty well. So, what he's really good at is developing talent. And I want to say like 3-star type talent. And I think he's going to have a bunch of that to work with over here in Cincy this year. So he's got his work cut out for him. But I think you know, with Lou Fickle gone, it's going to be a different team altogether. He's got some people that on defense that he's got more returning contributors than he does on offense. But offensively, you know, if you look at the numbers they did last year, we got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. So he gets Emory Jones, a quarterback transfer. He gets another transfer coming from the University of Florida. He's got Corey Connor at running back. So, you know, he's definitely got some talented players to work with, like I say, 3-star type recruits, and that's what he specializes in. So deservingly so. Him sitting at the bottom, is it fair to him to say that he's a bottom type coach? No, he's just going to be in more of a development type role. So we're not going to expect a whole lot out of Cincinnati this year. And then again, are we going to pound their win total over? I doubt it, but I think it's going to be juiced up a little bit compared to the other teams. I think we're probably going to be seeing maybe like 5 somewhere in that neck of the woods with this squad here. But I don't expect a whole lot early on from Cincinnati. I think they may. I'm not going to say they underachieve. I think if they do anything, they'll overachieve just a little bit more. But defensively, Cincinnati, they had a top tier defense. They were kind of like where Houston was last year in 21. This team was sitting right there where Houston was in 21. This was the team in the American that had the top defense in the league. So we'll see how that transitions over to the Big 12 with the new coach and the new personnel that he has.
Well, I just think it's going to be a down year because it's rather lopsided, for the coaches and the players. So here you have Satterfield coming from Louisville, where he had a great offense or was prided on great offense, but struggled on defense. He comes to Cincinnati. He's handled the defense, but he's not as talented as offense. So it's going to take a while for him to, mix, pick. You got to pick out which screws and bolts go where. So I think this could be a real bad season, like maybe 3 wins or something. I'm kind of leaning over, and you called it on the nail, Big Ragoon. It's a straight 5. So I kind of lean under in this one. Let's take a look at it. Eastern Kentucky, they probably could come out good. That'll be a healthy win for them. But Pittsburgh can bring it to them. Miami of Ohio, believe it or not, can bring it to them. Oklahoma can bring it to them. The size differential of BYU could outlast them in the fourth quarter. Iowa State, we don't know the state of that one. Baylor can get them. It's just not a lot of spots there where you see a lot of easy wins. So I'm leaning towards the under in this one.
Yeah, I mean they had a successful season last year. They had a 9-win season. Great coaching. Great talent all the way across. They were Fickle was, like I say, he was arguably be the best coach in Ohio, and it's not a knock on Satterfield. It's just the situation he's put in, and he's going to have to just deal with it. Like you said, with the 3 returning starters on offense, 6 on defense, it's going to be a lot to ask to compete. And then changing leagues, changing gears on top of that. So there's a ton of moving pieces here.
Yeah, so I like the under in that one. Guess what, folks? That's it for the Big 12. We did it in 1 hour and 42 minutes. We did have a long intro, though, because I just had a few things to get off my chest to y'all. Like I said, be looking for me and Dave Rogers picks from Dave on Sunday doing the Pac-12. And we're going to somehow maybe see if we can squeeze in the ACC. Also, next week, I'll probably pop out for those who are still watching or watching now. Yeah, I won't pop out with that Mountain West on y'all. I capped the Mountain West early in the season, but I put it down and I'm gonna go back and brush it up. And the Mountain West where I do it the best, I'm gonna come back. And another thing, man, T-shirts. We got the T-shirts coming to y'all. Boston the Sauce. We want a whole nation of Boston the Sauce. So the T-shirts are like $15. I'll mail them to you for free. It's not a big deal, but if you want a T-shirt, hit us up in the comments, the DMs on Twitter, all that stuff.
It's a good-looking shirt. A lot of gear coming. A lot of compliments on them.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get some more gear. We're running another stack of gear. I try to do the gear according to the hottest shows, and we're gonna be the hottest show in the college football time. So we're gonna do a lot of Boston Sauce gear. So y'all get prepared for that. We got that coming for y'all. Anything else, Big Ragu? You doing any features or anything anywhere?
No, I haven't done a whole lot of the futures. Maybe some of these win totals you and I talked about, and probably I would say this weekend I'm probably going to tweet out the ones I like for the shows that we covered. So I'll make those official come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, so make sure y'all go follow Big Ragu on Twitter, just as it is in the screen right there, and also follow myself. I'm just gonna have all kinds of crazy stuff coming out of me, but it's that great time of the year. I can almost smell it. It's preseason football. It's sexy, but it's not sexy enough. But we getting there. We almost getting to cooking with oil. So I don't know. I want everybody to enjoy their Friday evening, man. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'm going to try to stay healthy for this season. We did a good job last year of covering all the games and the weeks besides my little illness. But, yeah, we're going to have some fun, man. Be looking for the Boss and the Sauce. What we say, 7:30 Saturday morning, Big Ragoon?
Yeah, we'll do right up until you want to do right up until kickoff, right? 10:30, like make
right
it
up to kickoff, or if we're feeling good, we might go live some days for a while. For
we definitely have some live. We'll definitely do some live stuff.
But that's how we rolling this year. Many of our followers, if you ain't, I mean, it's nothing to tell. We are still a part of Pub Sports. We love Sports, but it's always been the Boss and the Sauce, and we're taking off on our own Saturday show with the Boss and the Sauce. So join us, have some fun. We giving out winners. We doing it like never before. Well, I can't say never before because we did it before. Yeah. But we're gonna have a great time here.
Yeah, just like we always do. Nothing different. Like our guy says, you know, we're gonna be working with Pub a little bit on our own, doing our own things. But the main thing is right here every week. Who-Bangin Sports, Boss of the Sauce. Count on it.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get out of here on that note. We love y'all. See y'all next time. Shout out to the chat. Quite a few of y'all, Jimmy, Nasty Nate, Dabby Cab. Thank y'all for showing up. Thank you for the great comments from all of you that put the great comments. And once again, this show will be cut up in pieces so you can digest it a little better, or if it's something you're particularly looking at, you can come in and check it out. But we out of here.
The Boss and the